Hand claps, hand claps, hand claps.
All right.
Back again.
Absolutely. Episode 3, back at it. What's happening, everyone?
I cut my way out.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Barber, a podcast celebrating barber culture.
Absolutely. The industry, the culture, the barbering as a whole.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. Trailblazing our own lane, man. So that's what's up.
Right.
That's what's up. And so for all of those of you that have been following, subscribing, listening, giving feedback, we greatly appreciate it, and we're back at it again.
Nice. Yep.
So, man, as we kick it off, man, before we get started, how was your week, man?
It was good. Went and voted.
Okay.
So got that out the way. So,
All right.
Literally got it out the way.
Right. Big week, man.
Yeah.
Really big week.
You mean coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we recording this on a Sunday again.
Absolutely. So start of a big week. I'm glad we could come and just kind of this is kind of therapy for me, man. I'm kind of
nice
on pins and needles, man, coming into this week, man. Hoping that
for real.
Yeah. Hoping that there's a good turnout, man.
Oh man,
we'll get into that a little deeper, but man, absolutely. 2016, man. We took things for granted, man, and now we're in a bit of a pickle, as they would say. So yeah, man, it's a big week. So man. Yeah,
you one of them?
Yeah, I'm one of them, man. So went out and we voted early. Me and the wife and one of my daughters, trying to get everybody else to get out there and vote. The rest of my children, because everyone is old enough to vote. But yeah, I'm one of them, man. I have grandchildren, 4th grandchild on the way in December. So I have to think forward. So absolutely, I'm one of them, man.
I mean, when I say one of them. I guess what I mean is I don't want to be that guy that says, oh, it don't matter and this and that. That's not what I mean. When I look at from 2016 to now,
okay,
I'm gonna take a different angle.
Okay.
And the angle that I'm taking is it had to happen.
Okay. I respect that.
And the reason why it had to happen was because 2008 and 2012, I think we just kicked back and really didn't hit the ground running.
Okay.
And 2016, optics don't look good. What I mean by that is the representation of the country from our lens is all jacked up. But me, you, and I could probably speak for a lot of other people in our delegation that we got on our grind. I mean, I would say that
absolutely.
I'm in a better position today than I was in 2012 or 2016.
And I agree with that, but I think part of it, and we'll get back to it because it's kind of got some topics, in regards to the barber industry and maybe the responsibility in regards to what we can do for our communities in urban areas to make sure that we get out there in groves and we're represented and our voices are heard. So, I respect that, but I think it also comes with maturity and growth as well, for those that have their heads on right. So we definitely going to touch on that.
Okay.
Definitely. Because it's important. And I know it's a barber podcast, but, everybody can relate, and I do think that there's some things in the barber industry and barbershops that we can do, you know, on our part to kind of help push our agendas forward. And it'll be a good question. Do we do enough? Is that our responsibility? So we'll definitely touch on that. We'll definitely touch on that here shortly.
Okay, because yeah, you know, I took a guy to Peoria last night, and 42-year-old guy. You know, that's about 90 miles from where we at.
Right, Champaign, Illinois to Peoria, Illinois. Actually, that's where I went to barber college. And shout out that, you know, that's the hometown of the great Richard Pryor, the comedian, the GOAT. But yeah. So
so he said he would. So the guy I took said he wasn't voting.
Okay.
So
and it's interesting because I've heard with clients in the chair, I've actually heard my fair share of that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. You know?
Yeah. So before we move on, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, don't listen to CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News. I mean, I know we got to get on to the show, but I'll probably be watching Fox News on Tuesday.
It's important. I mean,
not CNN, not MSNBC. Right. I'm gonna be watching Fox News, man.
And even with us getting on, I mean, this is in a historical moment, man. So it definitely is relevant, and everybody, you know, one way or another, will be affected in some type of way. So.
Yeah. So
you know, so keep my eyes to the ground and just trying to, you know, and I'm not a politician, and I don't, you know, I can't dictate what way a person votes, but I just think that this is an important time. So we'll leave it at that. Get back to it.
But no, man, I gotta touch on something. Okay. You know, just. And it's all a part of the show. Okay. So, and I mean, it's not a secret. Okay. I mean, it's out there now, you know. If you follow my right-hand man, he actually to my left, your right, if you watching this on our YouTube. And as you can see, our YouTube viewership, we have signage. So we'll give ourselves some hand claps. We're trying to get our visuals together. Right. So
trying to move up like the Jeffersons. Slowly,
bear with us. You know, we experimenting with some looks, so we know we have to
some optics, if you will.
Yeah, put our signage a little down for the next episode. But our logo is front and center. We got these shirts. You know, so
shout out to AP Media Solutions at AP Media Solutions, man. Again, did a wonderful job with the logo. You know, we're really happy with that, and we're just trying to, you know, trailblaze and move forward, man, and provide this platform. Just talk about, you know, and celebrate the barber industry and just the culture as a whole. And I think as we touch on some of these things, these are conversations that are had and will continue to be had at the barbershop, and extremely important, you know. So
so you left a little, you said you had a good week. You voted.
Absolutely.
I mean, you left out something else that
what's that?
That, you know, it's not a secret. I mean, you put it out there. I say yesterday, you know, you got your new toy.
Oh, okay. My
you know,
I got my toy, man. And it's crazy. Actually, it's a dream come true. And I'm not big on material items, man. But back in the day, my mother had a 1986 Regal. And just love the body style. But then when I seen it's a 1986 Chevy Monte Carlo SS. That's my new toy. Beautiful car, man. Found it original, 25,000 original miles, man. in amazing condition for a classic car. And so just something I always wanted, man, and grinded hard and have been working hard, man, and as tough as 2020 has been, it's also brought some good things, my way too. So, man, I'm happy about that. That was a dream come true. Yeah, some people like their Benzes and so on and so forth, man. My favorite car of all time is a Chevy Monte Carlo, man. SS. That is by far my favorite car.
So when I say it wasn't a secret, just hit the gram and take a look at some of the pictures of the new toy. You said it's an 86?
It's an 86.
86 Monte Carlo SS. Yeah. Cleaner than a board of health. Man. I think that's the saying.
Man, I'm extremely, honored to have it, but humbled at the same time, man. You know what I mean? I'm not a big material person, but that was one of those bucket list items that I said, man, I've been wanting this for the last 30 years since I laid eyes on it.
So it just fell in your lap? Were you like actively looking? Or?
I wasn't actively looking, man. It just fell into my lap. The wife had pulled some stuff up maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, showed me a couple, but I wasn't actively looking, man. Me and a couple of the guys were in the shop just talking about it the Thursday before I purchased it, and it fell into my lap. One of my clients sent me a picture, and it just happened to go in my direction. Worked out. I contacted the seller and went from there. So yeah, I'm blessed for that one, man. Blessed for that one.
So I mean, let's just get into it. Like, okay, I mean, just the fruits of your labor, from grind and barbering to where you can just what's the term, intuitively or impulsively make a purchase like that. I mean,
truly a blessing, man. Truly a blessing. Grew up humbly, didn't have much, and I mean, hell, 5 years ago I couldn't make impulsive decisions, and still are mindful, in terms of finances. But that's one of the things that never really thought in terms of barbering that it could provide as much or more than any other career. And sometimes I think that's something that people look over when they look at barbers, from where it started. I know I talked to one of the old barbers, one of the legends around here. And, when he was first cutting hair in the 60s, man, they were charging $1.25 for a haircut. So just the evolution, man, it's amazing. And God has put me and my family in a position where he's allowed us to be strategic, to think, and to be blessed, and give me that work ethic. So those type of things, I'm able to purchase within reason. So, all the kids are adults, and so it was just a toy that I always wanted, and by hard work and God's blessing, I was able to achieve something I've been wanting for a very long time. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, like, I'm intrigued because, just trying to prepare and really stay, I don't even want to say on topic,
right, but
just kind of stay focused on the theme of our podcast, and still try to tie other things into it.
And that's an aspect. When I took the picture, my son, I pulled up on him yesterday, and he hadn't seen it and had no knowledge. My middle son. And so, he took a picture of me by the car, and I had on one of the sweatshirts. I cut my way out, and I purposely pointed to that because it's provided, that outlet, man. And so it's all relevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, if you grind and you stay in mode and you make the, right financial decisions, you get your credit right, your license, you file your taxes, all the things that are important in the craft, you can have anything that anybody else can have, and there are not many jobs out there where a person can say that depending on how fast and efficient they are with their hand speed, to charge $30 a head. You can make $30 an hour. You can make $60 an hour, depending on, again, how efficient your hand speed. And so, man, God has blessed me to, have a career and a craft and a trade and a skill that nobody can put, nobody can determine my ceiling. And that's probably the most, intriguing thing about my profession is nobody can put a ceiling on what it is that I do.
Nice.
That's the beautiful thing about this, man. And for that's big for kids are here because we're all into fashion. At some point in time, we've all grabbed a pair of clippers, even if we've jacked our heads up, but not knowing that this could lead to something else. You see what I'm saying? So it's all relevant, because without being in that situation, then I wouldn't, I probably wouldn't be in position to impulsively, have bought that car. Now, granted, the wife had to give the okay too because we're a team, but just having that option was truly a blessing and worked extremely hard for it. Anybody knows me knows how hard I stick to my grind, man. So
do you ever burn out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think people burn out.
Are you just so into it that you push through, or do you have to take a break?
This is the thing for me, man, and it's interesting. I remember this when I go through burnout stages, and one of the biggest things that helps me with burnout, and to everybody, to each its own. Everybody has a different, intrinsic motivational factor, right? So for me, I worked in a school district for 20 plus years, right? So I got up and that wasn't the first job I ever had. I had to get up, I had to punch somebody's clock and sometimes I loved what I was doing. Like I always loved working with the kids, but the biggest part was when you're working with the adults. You expect what you expect out of kids. They are what they are, right? They're kids. Right. But the adults, man, you had those days where you want to choke somebody out and it's like you got people in education and you're saying, how can you teach a kid if you can't model the things that are being taught? I mean, little things, right? Like just being cordial to other people. You know what I mean? And so one of those things for me being in the school districts, man, I would have times where, the whole racism thing would show, or the classism, you're a teacher's aide at one time. And I worked my way up from teacher's aide, to an administrative capacity, which is good. But at the end of the day, once I started cutting, because what I used to do, I used to go to work. I come home from work. Soon as I get off work, I'm racing. I may have somebody outside waiting for me. I go hurry up and change. Bam, I'm in there. And so the burnout was really real at some of those points, right? But I knew I couldn't let it go because I always told my wife, I can't let something of my own go for somebody else's. It just didn't make good sense. Never realizing that I would be a full-time barber on the back end, being a little older, but I always said that this is mine. That's theirs. This is mine, and so what I'm saying is when I burn out, I remember all those times that I was doing it on somebody else's accord, on their clock. I may have ideas that were just as good as maybe even better, but I did it on their terms. So when I burn out, one of the things I do is I remember when I had to do it somebody else's way. And the beautiful thing is being on my time schedule, making sure that I service, clients, and that I'm appreciative to the fact that they're sitting in my chair, but I'm doing it on my terms. As long as they're satisfied, I'm doing it on my terms. Another thing, man, for me is social media. When I started watching social media, I realized, and I want to be the best at whatever it is that I'm doing. So the ability to watch these males and female barbers and their skill levels and what they're doing outside of barbering, that barbering has laid the foundation. It's kind of like with Jay-Z or P. Diddy, or, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like their situation. They took hip hop, right? And they piggyback that into something greater. You know what I mean? So they go into clothing, they go into alcohol. And so you're seeing a lot of barbers in return do that. And that's what kind of led me to the whole beard culture movement, right? Watching these guys and watching them make money from behind the chair. And so that's big. So when I'm burning out, I'm saying, man, I'm looking at new ideas and new little nuances that different barbers are doing, because believe it or not, I think the difference between, and this is in a lot of areas, the difference between being decent, being good, or being great, a lot of times are the little things. So when you're watching some of these great barbers and you're looking at tutorials, or, you know, you're looking at the outcome of their haircuts, it's the little finishing touches and the attention to detail. So when I'm watching these barbers, they just motivate me. That's what I'm chasing. And I'm not competing against them. They're just raising the bar to make me want to be better at what I do. And so it's never something that you just sit in for me and that you're at your ceiling. My last job, I was at my ceiling. I was the director of this program. And in that particular circle or that department, there was nowhere else for me to go. So I'm like, can I sit here for another 20, 25 years and sit in this with no room to grow? It keeps me running full speed, man. And a lot of these barbers are, you know, younger than me, man, but I just go, you know, I go balls to the wall watching them, and, you know, the motivation, man. And it's probably about 4 or 5 barbers, you know, maybe 6 barbers that, you know, extremely motivate me. And so when I'm feeling burnout, man, I appreciate what God has given me. You know, the opportunity to do things on my terms, to use the skill that God has given me, but also the skills that he has given others to motivate people like me. So that's for me, I always go back to that. Like, man, you can't complain when you could do it your way, man. You better come up out of this burnout, you know? And so that's how I look at it, man. Sometimes you might need a little vacation or whatever, but, you know, I mean, I'd rather be doing what I'm doing than anything else.
Is it easy? Is it hard? In
terms of when you talk about the skill, what are you?
Just not only the skill. I mean, yeah, we could just being a barber. I mean, because we've talked about it. I mean, just with the time, the tax that it can have,
right.
You know,
I think like you know, and I'm not gonna say like anything else, because again, and don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking anybody that works a 9 to 5, because it's good for some people. My wife gets up, she goes to work. You know, I did it for 20 plus years, right? But no, I mean, you this is an industry that you get out of it what you put into it. So in terms of the skill, the biggest thing for me, man, was the confidence, right? You know, a lot of people, you know, I've known a lot of people, me and you done rock for years, but a lot of people don't know behind closed doors. One thing, you know, I've touched on some of the issues I had, and what comes with that, I've had issues with self-esteem, right? So making the transition to going to a full-time barber and putting myself out there in the public, people would tell, man, you know, you get out, you know, you can cut. And I always question myself. So once I got in the shop, and I think I might have touched on this the first episode, once I got going and I got that feedback, and I knew that I was in my lane, I came behind those 4 walls of being in my shop, in my house, and got into the public, and I just started going full throttle. Once I got the self-esteem, the confidence, you know, I've been cutting for a while. So from that standpoint, it's not hard. Physically, it can be hard sometimes. You know, it can be draining. For me, it's more draining physically than it is mentally. But on the mental side, one of the good things about it is people don't think probably, and I'm not going to say people, all people, but, they don't think that the mental aspect and the strategy, how are you going to attack this head? You kind of make sure when you look at the head, and have that vision of the outcome. And that's one thing that came to me over time, because some people are just creative by nature, right? I had the skill, but to look at a head and to visualize what I wanted to see at the end took some time now. So I'm to that space. When I look at a head, you see the texture, what kind of haircut. I know the end game before I even start. And so that's just a skill that came with time. But for me, I don't think it's hard. It's gratifying. You get out of it what you put into it. It can be hard on the body. That's why I said I need to do a better job at this point of just taking care of my body. But all in all, no, it's extremely gratifying. I don't think it's hard. And that's another good thing. Some heads are challenging, man. The texture of the hair, those type of things. But that's the beautiful thing. Sometimes you go into it with the challenge, and it feels good when you've provided a service that they're appreciative of. So that's the dope part about it.
It's funny. When I had hair and I would want certain styles. Right. I guess I'll just say little tapers and things like that. You would see somebody that has one light skin, two just had a just a perfect head and thing. Right. And I want my hair like
exactly
that.
Where you going?
It's just what are realistic expectations for clients or for the average customer when they get in your chair?
It's like Burger King used to say, right? Have it your way. But the reality of it is, a lot of times, and what I started noticing, the more I followed on social media, when guys are doing tutorials or guys are posting pictures, like when I post certain pictures on IG or Facebook, those are those heads that I know that they have that look, they take care of their hair, because sometimes you'll get a person in, they'll bring their cell phone, I want this cut. They don't have the texture. They haven't taken care of their hair. Their hair may be full of grease. They want waves, but they don't brush it. They don't have the wave pattern. So there's a lot of things that play into, the turnout of a haircut. I always tell people, if you want the best results, you have to make sure you have a clean hair, right? And so you have some barbers that say, hey, I'm charging $65, $75, $100, and I'm gonna wash the hair, because now you're in control of the outcome. If you go pay $50, $60, $70, $100, more than likely people who pay that type of money are going to take care of their hair. That's a pretty, healthy commitment in terms of monetarily, to go in there and not take care of your hair. And so the reality is some people want certain type of haircuts. Either you don't have that head shape, you don't take care of your hair, you don't have that texture. It's a number of things. So you do the best that you can, but I'm also real. I'm a realist. And I think from a professional standpoint, sometimes, as a professional, you have to be honest with your clients, but also based on their head, the texture, and all the things in which I've just mentioned. Sometimes you tell them, what would be the best looking style for their head, right? And so that's everybody's not real, but you do the best you can to satisfy your clientele.
Yeah, because it was just one of those things to where you just weren't going to get that. It just, the taper was going to be tight. Right. And I'm not talking about, you. Mm-hmm. but it was just, that light skinned cat that,
Man,
the
thick waves and
yeah,
almost
like
that
it really
perfect
just
head.
shows because of the pig, well, because he light skinned, and so
and the texture of the hair. A lot of things, come into play. I have one little guy. His parents, always want him to have a mohawk. Well, technically, when you have, kids that are biracial, right? Their hair curls up or whatever. And this kid, he had, straight texture of hair. His hair didn't just automatically curl up. So the look that they were going for, finally they decided, and I never told him, and I thought it pretty often, because that hair just wouldn't curl up, or when they put product in it, it would curl. It just wouldn't stay that way. So it really depends on, your hair, the texture of your hair, how you trained your hair, and I can use the exact same methods to cutting one person's hair, and it's not going to always exactly look like the next person. So I may cut one person's hair, they come out and say, man, I want what you did to him.
Yeah.
But do you have the same texture? Have you taken care of your hair the same way, so on and so forth? You know what I mean? So sometimes, customers aren't, it's not always reality, but you do the best you can with being professional, being honest, and servicing them to the best of your ability. I think that's the key.
Yeah. So, I'm just taking this all in. You know what I'm saying? Like, just taking it all in. Let me switch gears.
Okay.
I
No doubt.
I came over to the crib, your house.
Okay.
I hate you. All that.
Man, that's what
that
it is.
Jargon.
We on a podcast, man. We're gonna be who we are.
All right, I came over to the crib and I seen you was done for the day, and I saw that you was kind of just packing up and just putting the clippers in good storage or whatever. Right. So I guess one question is, because you do have your you want to take it?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Because you do have your own space. Mm-hmm. Why do you store your clippers in your hard case and things like that? Is it just because of I don't want to speculate.
Well, in that space, because it's built off my garage, if I don't heat it, the entire night, then, they're cold, and, clippers have motors, kind of like a car. So you want to make sure the motor is warmed up and ready to run. And so, I'll oil them, clean them at the end of the day, and just make sure that they're ready to go. So that's the purpose behind that.
Okay. Look, man, you can.
That's the purpose behind that.
If you want to text, then, and if he want to, then we can switch.
Okay, well, man, let's keep rolling.
Okay. So with that being said, I did notice that you got some cordless versus corded. Mm-hmm. Like what's the difference? What you prefer? What, just kind of, of course, cordless. I would like to have cordless mics or cordless tools. I have, but in some instances, I prefer corded. So, especially saws and certain things like that. But clippers, like, if you can get into it, like corded versus cordless. So
for me, just over time, right? Technology has advanced like anything else, So for me, it's a wonderful thing with cordless. Any barber out there knows that over time, your cords, they splice. You have to change the cords out. They've made racks and stuff to hold them upright. But like for me, I put my clippers up. It's just one of those things where I prefer just the flexibility of being able to move all around the head, not replacing cords, and just technology. I love the advance of technology. So to me, I'm partial of the cordless clippers. And we do have some people who aren't, some of the barbers that have been cutting for a while don't like the cordless clippers, but I have yet to find many people that don't prefer that form of clipper at this point in time. The battery life with technology, everything is good.
So the battery life is pretty good.
It really is.
How often do you have to charge them?
I try to keep mine kind of ahead of the curve. So every couple of days, I charge mine, and I'm cutting full days.
Oh, okay. So you can go okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one I just thought about. Wall versus Andes, or does that even,
it's I use them all. I love the gadgets, right? So new clippers come out and they may cost a little more. But I'm gonna tell you, one of my favorite clippers is the Wall Designer cordless, and they're not nearly as expensive as some of the newer clippers. So it really just, it kind of.
So what's the perception of these? Because I said Wall versus Andes. Mm-hmm. I know on the liner, mm-hmm. like Andes has that perception and reputation. Mm-hmm. They have that perception that that's the top of the line when it comes to liners, I guess. What is, who has what's the perception of Wall or,
So Andes, from my knowledge base, Andes has been around the longest, right?
Okay.
Like the master is kind of the grandfather of the clipper. And actually, I'll take that back. My favorite clipper is the Andes Master cordless. And right behind that is the Wall Designer cordless. But the difference in the pricing, I got...
give it up, man. I gotta know.
There was a beauty supply store that was going out of business. And so I've got the designers for like 40 something, but regularly they're $65, $70.
Okay, not bad.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Now the masters are $225, but they're the Jordan of the clipper game.
So they are
right.
Okay.
So I mean, if you get a pair of, where I get all my clippers, if you get a pair of, masters with the cord, you can get them for about $111. If you go to Sally's Beauty Supply, they're probably, gouged up to about $170 with the cord. You know what I mean? So they've always been a more expensive clipper, and so then when they put the technology of the cordless,
where are you gonna pay for that?
And you should. And to me, I don't mind it, because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is, if you're grinding and you're putting your time in, you're going to make your money back, right?
Right.
But one of the beautiful things also is, you have something that's new. When you bust those clippers out, and even the kids, like the Bablis, is another nice clipper, and they're probably...
So that's a new line?
It's a newer line.
Oh, okay. So
and the beautiful part to Bablis is that they've been incorporating a lot of their barbers and getting feedback. So you got guys like Hawk, out of Atlanta, that actually has his own version of the Bablis clipper. and so I believe that they have also given input. They create a team, and the barbers are able to give input into the clippers, which is dope. And then, another aspect of the barbering that's grown, just like Nike and Adidas and all those companies, how they have these contracts and they endorse players. Well, now clipper companies are endorsing barbers, right? And so I'm not knowledgeable of the aspect of the money side, but I definitely would assume that, the clippers, the free clippers, like now you have, like, I never see Hawk without anything, he's only cutting with Babless.
I would imagine
you know what I mean?
if I'm a pay you to endorse.
But I don't know if it's one of those things. If it's a clipper thing, you know what I mean? If we're gonna give you money for clippers,
contractually, they probably gonna say, like,
right. So, but I don't know the money, but just the thought that a clipper company endorses barber.
Yeah, that's
just, think about the evolution, bro.
Yeah.
So but again, like we talked last week, they're not cheap. They're not cheap by any means, but I have kids who they see those Babless because, like, they have different colors, and so I love the gold ones. When kids see that, will you use the gold ones on me? Like, that gold stands out, and so that's another thing. When your tools are up to par, then people are realizing that, hey, man, this person this barber is about his craft, man. He's willing, these look like money have been spent. So, they understand and they are, like wow, like kind of amazed. Like me, I keep about 7-8 clippers on deck at all times, right? Some people, they just prefer to use 2 or 3 clippers, but I've just turned into a clipper junkie. So I love to use all of the clippers.
I would ask, because we don't have a visual, so I was gonna say, like when you have somebody's in the chair and you're doing something, like, when do you know, okay, this is the clipper I need to do to get this vision that I had before I even started? I mean, do you?
So I have a methodology of how I go about, how I attack the haircuts for the most part. But once you comb it, you brush it, you look at the texture of the hair and what they want. And different clippers actually do different things. Like some, you have Andis Fade Master, and it comes with a fade blade. It's a surgical blade, so it gets really close. So it's for the purpose of blending and getting that line out of the ball fade. So I know, and typically they say whatever you put it in, the line in with, you get it out with. But that surgical blade, for the most part, will get all of those lines out, right? If I'm using the Babless FX, it does, and with the guards and how the teeth are separated on the guards, they do wonderful with straight hair. You know what I mean? But their liner is exceptional. So, like if you got a little kid, you might have something a little sharper, right? If something less sharp that hits just as hard, or, you may use that on little kids. So it just depends on the haircut. But once you get adjusted to each clipper, the benefit of each clipper and what they do.
So, I'm like I said, I'm enjoying this. Last question about tools. Last question I have.
Okay.
It just seemed like no matter what everything that you've talked about, especially with liners and things of that nature, and sharp and blade, blade. It just seems like nothing has. Is there anything out there that has that would have the straight edge razor in jeopardy of becoming extinct when it comes to barbering?
Absolutely not. that razor. Absolutely not. That straight razor, man. That's the finisher. That's the icing on the cake. Now, don't get me wrong, because there are some clippers out there, and like I said, with technology, because that's one of the things. You can buy 5 of the same clipper, right? You can buy 5 of the same liner, and a lot of times none of them are going to come out the box hitting the same, meaning the sharpness of them. So you'll have to adjust them. And so one of the benefits to the Babless is, one, if you look at the Babless, and I should have brought it, it's kind of like a dumbbell. It has a dumbbell effect, but the neck kind of sticks out, because what people start doing with the Andes style liner or the Andes T-liner is that they start cutting the plastic base off of it, so it would be able to get around harder to get places, like the C cup of the ear and those type of things, right?
So that's what that's called, a C cup?
Okay. or you're creating that C cup on the line. So,
okay.
People believes it also provides more power, but also it those hard to get places, like when you're lining the mustache. And so what Babless did, they create that dumbbell look, but the neck kind of sticks up. So it automatically comes with that look that everybody is going for, because Andes doesn't sell it like that. You'll have to get it from somebody who does it like that, and then they sell it, off market, so to say. So, but they also created a gadget that allows you to align the blades perfectly to hit just perfect. And so they took all that's going on in the barbering, everything that the barbers want, everything that's important. They combine those things, man. They came out with an ill clipper, man. I imagine it has to be one of the top sellers.
What, the Babless?
Yeah, absolutely. The FX. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. So man, it's a lot of tools out there, man. And like I said, I just love, even if I'm not using them, I love to have them on deck. And you have your Andes, you have your Oyster, your Babless, your Wall, man. You have so many different clippers, man. I love them. New clipper come out, I want to get them now. Now there are other brands that are hitting the market that went to BarberShop, man, and out of nowhere, they're different clipper companies. Shout out to Bevel, they start to do their thing. They still aren't out in stores at this point, but there are a lot of different companies, man, who are doing big things with the clippers, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
and with the pandemic, the sales of clippers soared, because you had so many people at home trying to cut their own hair because barbershops were closed.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. I would like to do some research at some point in time and find out the increase of sales during the pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
If you would hit, one of the places that I get a lot of my products, and shout out to Atlanta Beauty and Barber Supply. You'll be hard pressed to find a better price on barber supplies, man. They were out of almost everything. Back order. And then, like, when the Babless FX liners came out, pre-order. It could take months for you to get them. The Andes Cordless Master could take you months to get them. It was people, walking around Bronner Brothers willing to, upsell, increase the sale. I went to go get those FX liners, and me and Los, shout out to Los the Barber, we got there late. They only had 72 pair and had sold out of every pair in the first hour. And them joints was going for $150 a pop for a liner. That was unheard of until they dropped that liner.
So you was able to get it though at a later time?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I wasn't giving up until I got it.
Oh, okay. How long did it take you to get it?
It took me a couple of months.
So that was last year?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it was last year. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then the wife for Christmas present turned around, got me the master, the cordless, and his masters.
So like me, like I got this Apple Watch Series 6,
Okay.
which is the newest one.
Okay.
But I had like a Series 1. So,
Right.
so I pretty much had, I pretty much had my eye on it.
Okay.
And so I would imagine that's how your wife knew that. So she was able to get it because you had your eye on it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've turned into, and like I said, the motivation. Like we'll sit up, man, and we'll look at IG together.
Oh yeah,
and we'll look at haircuts together, and so the latest tools, and so she knows what's out there as well, and she knows the things that I want. So yeah, she keeps up with a lot of the tools. Of course, she's not as knowledgeable, but she keeps up with a lot of the tools as well. So
that's what's up. Yeah.
So yeah, man. It's been man. A whirlwind. I done turned into a junkie with the clippers. So I want to, not kind of switch, right?
Yeah, because I was going to hit through and just say, hey, I done kind of, turn this into an interview.
Right. You done got your clipper education.
Yeah.
No, it's all good, man. So one of the things, when you were talking about just, is it hard? I wanted to touch on one of the hardest aspects of barbering, and I would assume that a lot of barbers would agree with this, whether it's, now or early on in their barber career, depending on where they are. One of the hardest things is the money, the financial aspect, right? And so for a number of years, because one thing I learned coming out of school is, and I would like to get feedback from some of the barbers, because we didn't have the financial aspect, right? So they didn't talk about, barbering. They prepare you, for the barbering, but they didn't talk about funds, and they didn't talk about retirement, 401ks, IRAs, things that would allow you to have some longevity and also have a retirement plan. And when you asked me last week or a couple of weeks ago about one of the benefits and why people choose places like cost cutters and those type of things, I would imagine
commission.
I would think, well, the difference in commission, you can be at a barbershop and be an independent contractor and still pay commission because it's based on a percentage, right? But those 401ks, and so for me early on, man, I know I've jagged off a boatload of money. Because when cash is coming to you, and I'm going to tell you, with technology, one of the greatest things that also has found its way to us, and some people don't like it, but things like Cash App. Because now, you have more clients that are utilizing Cash App. So, it requires you having that bank account, and it's going right into your bank. Because when you just put a handful of cash in your pocket, it's hard to be responsible when you just have it. There are very few people that are disciplined, especially at an early age, where they're going to get that money every day and they're going to go put that money into the bank. And so that's one of the things. And we've talked, and we're going to get somebody on, financial advisor, accountant, tax people, because that's one of the things that is the hardest aspect of barbering, that self-discipline, but also it's the biggest forgot thing. And then when people look up and you're 50 years old and you've cut for 30 years and you realize no retirement plan or very, very few you started on the back end. That was one thing about working in the school district is, I have those years of a retirement plan, but also learning and becoming more knowledgeable now with those things, a financial advisor and things like that, because it's important because, unfortunately, a lot of people are, you could be one injury away from not getting any bread. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's important. And if you don't have a fallback, then that's tough. So that is something, man, for all barbers, anybody that is listening, anybody that knows barbers, and that's relatable in everything we do, right? Financial literacy is something in our communities that we've suffered from for so many years, and we're behind the 8 ball. And so to me, that's probably the most important for me aspect of barbering. And it's one of probably the most understated. I would like to see a lot of that at even barber shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And really having an understanding and teaching and that being part of a curriculum.
Yeah. I just wonder, it would be interesting to see, like, if there's a barber that will know exactly every cent that's done come through his hands.
I'm not going to say every cent from beginning to end, because
I mean, for like a year or something like that.
Right,
yeah.
man, because it's, easy come, easy go, right?
Right.
One of my homeboys, man, he used to, he'll go earn it, he'll go get it, and then turn around and, spend it all day. Work for it all day and spend it in just a night of kicking it. Like, you don't work, you've been on your feet all day, and now you just, because, we didn't have that discipline. So, that's one thing, and the older barbers, we really have to push that, because really at the end of the day, and I can't speak for everybody, but I know for me the most important thing is ownership. Ownership is the most important thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you see people that have leased buildings for 20, 30 years for other people, and then you leave the game and you have no ownership.
Right.
And that is that's crazy. Just your feedback. You want to wait? So that's the biggest aspect.
Not tonight.
Right. That's the biggest aspect. The hardest aspect of it all, man. Like, man, just providing the knowledge and passing it down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another point, right? And I don't know if you want to expound or you have any any feedback or anything to add to that aspect of barbering, just the financial piece, because I know with you working same job for a long period of time, that's a big part of that cushion, and that's what society doesn't teach us to be entrepreneurs and independent contractors, and
Right.
that's one of the safety nets that you get.
Yeah. So it really is intriguing, because when I hear you speak the last few times, the last few episodes, just about your independence and just how far you've come.
Right.
I think for me, I think COVID has kind of got me like focused on like my future, not really, trying to create something for me and mine.
A legacy.
Yeah.
A legacy.
And
yeah. As they talk about the generational wealth.
Yeah. And so I think, just coming in and just, listening to you and just drawing that inspiration just based on how, because I have seen your come up.
Right.
You know, not
the growth.
Yeah,
sure.
the growth. Right. Exactly. Right. Great way to put it. And you know, it is for me personally, it is I feel like I am a little deep into my situation to where, not saying that I'm stuck, because I'm not stuck, mm-hmm. but I do have some reshuffling that I need to do. So
and I think that's what it makes us.
Yeah,
I think that this country, and that's how it was built. It makes us comfortable, yeah. and when in our communities, when you don't see that success, right, and you don't see individuals that can provide mentorship and tutelage to kind of help you think outside the box.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it kind of, it stunts your growth, and you don't do it intentionally. You know, we just, for generations, you go back to slavery, and, you know, our ancestors, they were punished and there were consequences for reading and writing.
Right.
So when our grandparents and our great-grandparents, for them, education was the way out, and it was formal education, because I think all education is relevant. But formal education, it was go get that education and get a good job, not go get that education and create yourself a lane. And it probably wasn't, you know, as easy back then.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think over the years, as the years have moved forward, we kind of twist that up and we become content, because you can still work a 9-to-5 and create your own.
Right. And that's what I'm, you know, aiming to do. And,
yeah.
And I mean, I'll be honest. And we've talked about this, and you know, you have, you know, shared. You know, my dad had a business, right. and you know, when he passed, it so I wasn't groomed.
Right.
It was never even discussed.
Right.
You know, for me to, you know, assume it.
Right. Take the baton and take off.
Right. So, now that time has passed, mm-hmm. and like you said, you just get kind of comfortable and sucked in, right. and you know, you're able to pay your bills, and mm-hmm. and you know, and it's not that I'm against corporate America, mm-hmm. but that would have been a great, like, business.
Yeah, absolutely. And now your kids are that age where they can assume some of those duties.
Yeah.
And you know, it's interesting, not to cut you off, but I don't know if when that happened, when that occurred, and it was an unfortunate situation because your dad passed.
Yeah.
But him being ahead of the game and trying to leave that legacy, right? And me talking to you about the potential of it. And you couldn't see it at that time.
I couldn't see it.
You know, and so for me, it's funny because my mind has always been driven that way. I just didn't have the exposure. I didn't have the mentorship, but my mind has always worked that way, you know, and just wishing, you know, and so it's funny because one of the topics that I wanted to discuss with the barbering industry is for those understanding there's a difference between being a barber by trade and an independent contractor and an entrepreneur.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? But during these times with social media and even COVID, the barber industry is turning out so many entrepreneurs. They are piggybacking off their craft and saying, okay, this is my lane and this is what I know. Now, how can I use this to attribute a legacy, some wealth, or get in a different lane, still using my expertise and becoming an entrepreneur? And I think that was one of the biggest things to me, you know, being able to create your own. And when we're in corporate America, and you know, I don't knock it because I've done it forever, right? But just being in a situation where you are around like-minded people. When you go to barber shows, bro, you're around like-minded people. That is your lane. How often do you go? I never went to a job and people were trying to figure out how to get out and create their own. Maybe they were uncomfortable and they were trying to figure out, how do I move up within this organization? Or how do I go and find myself an opportunity in another organization? Not how can we create something for ourselves. Right. And the barber game, man, it has endless opportunities, man. It does.
And that's why, and that's because it to me, it's just, I get invited to go do social things with people, and my wife is, why don't you do it? I'm like, I'm not interested. Right. I'm not interested in playing this game. I'd rather, podcast, or, you know what I'm saying? Like,
do something where you're passionate.
With all due respect, being able to put this on and start this show, like,
it's big.
Anything, like,
it's big. Doing something that you're passionate about. And that's what I realized for me. Most people never have the opportunity to make a dime doing something that they love.
Right. Yeah. So what I was saying was, like, with all due respect, like, I do have a background in this. Right. So absolutely. To have this equipment for when we got to put this together, absolutely. To be able to just go, absolutely. Because everything was, we didn't have to order this or get this. Right. I had everything, so we could just go and turn out content. So with all due respect, like, the job that I work, I knew what I needed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just, I'm searching, I'm searching, and that's, and I'm still young, and I got the end in sight, which is, I feel like I'm encouraged.
Right. And that's the beauty of it, to encourage others and to create our own lane. Like I said, I don't know if you remember, your dad had the camcorder. It was a big, huge camcorder. That was back, y'all, when camcorder you put up here and you're looking through. And we were basketball junkies. And I talked about the possibility of us, you used to subscribe to, different sports talents, so to say, to get all the rankings for the high school players going to college. I'm like, man, as much as you traveling, man, we could put something like that together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so just really trying to find it, because more times than not, because we don't see it, we don't believe that we can be there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even though we may have the knowledge or whatever the case may be. So with that being said, right, one of the things I want to ask you, and it could be podcasting because it's going hand in hand with what we're doing here. How do you feel about schools? Like here in Champaign, we don't have a barber school, right?
Right.
Should our local school districts be partnering with barbers to create, or not just barbering, but even cosmetology, to create a curriculum? Because I feel, working in school districts, that our school district, and no knock to anybody, but I'm just speaking how I feel, and I came through these school districts, and my kids did too. I felt that they created an atmosphere that said college or nothing. When the reality of it is that, you can come out at 18 if you have the skill and make more than people who are teaching you. And it's unfortunate, because teachers should be paid more.
Right.
Right. So do you think that in areas like this, or even bigger areas, I know they have barber schools, but to get kids off and running, to really be able to meet them where they're at, because fashion and hair cutting and those things, that is a big part of not only our community, but the world as a whole, right? not just black people get their hair cut. I have Caucasian customers. I do straight hair. I everything, right? So with that being said, because we kind of played on the back end trying to catch up and trying to, create this mindset. How can we leave a legacy? What can we do to create something not only for ourselves that our kids can have when our time is up, right? We didn't have anything that, even though we did have trades and stuff, it wasn't taught to us from a perspective that you can take these tools out here and you can go make as good of a living as you can if you have a degree. It's all about your interest and what you love to do. So with that being said, how do you feel about schools providing a curriculum that would allow barbers, with teaching license to get in and be paid as teachers to provide a curriculum to get kids ready for the real world who have an interest in doing what it is that I do for a living?
I mean, of course, my opinion is, taking vocation out of school, especially public school, was, now that I'm older and can assess, where our country is, it was all a ploy. It was done intentionally,
But they've never had in our area. I can't speak for other places,
right.
But they've never had anything like that I can remember.
They don't. They don't. And so when you look at our area, the university drives our local economy.
Right.
But how many Fortune 500 companies are headquartered here?
Right.
I can't think of any. Even, where I went to school, Illinois State,
right.
State Farm is headquartered in Bloomington.
True story.
So I just think that it should definitely be something that could be in the school, where you have somebody that is not going to college,
right,
and you just say, hey, by the time you're a junior, 2 or 3 periods a day, you'll be in, whether it's plumbing, carpentry, cosmetology, barber, and you can get out, have your hours, or even maybe before you graduate, be able to take the exam.
Right. Because, and I don't mean to cut you off, but technically I remember when I was in barber school, man, there was a 16-year-old kid that came part-time. And so by the time he graduated, he could actually be a licensed barber as long as he passed that, right?
Right.
Because, go ahead.
No. So I was just, I mean, that's definitely something that, it definitely need to be in schools, because especially in our community, it's just, we pushing this college agenda. But when you look at, and no disrespect to some of our community activists, mentors, leaders, they really don't have anything to sell but hope right now.
Right.
And that's
lack of resources.
Yeah, because of lack of resources. It's not nothing against them personally. I mean, but I can't really rock with somebody encouraging people that you could do it here.
Yeah. And I believe there are things you can do here depending on what you do, right? But you can't sell the bag if you can't show them how to get to the bag.
Right.
That's my biggest issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't sell hope, but don't show me how I can get there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah.
And that's huge. And I'm looking and I asked and it came across my mind last night because I said, man, all the shootings and things that we're having in our community, like, you know, we stay, you know, and our community has grown. But there are a lot of communities like ours. And so if it's happening in a smaller community, we know what's happening in bigger communities.
Yeah.
And when I'm looking at barbers, bro, who have 2 million followers, somebody is following them.
Yeah.
There's an interest for this barber thing. I don't know anyone that hasn't had a barbershop experience.
Right.
I don't care what color. Everybody has had their hair done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so if we can help just in our lane, right? I can't speak for all the trades because there should be vocational curriculums. In my personal opinion, there should be a pathway. By the time you get to your junior years, you should be able to decide, am I trying to, after your general eds are out the way, either I want to go to college, I'm on a track to go to college, or I want to go into a trade.
Yeah.
And there should be options in terms of what you can do. But we're not schooling our kids based on, because the truth of the matter, man, I worked at U of I in HR, bro, the trades were one of the highest paid jobs on campus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if we're going to sell the dream that only a bachelor's degree will get you to where you want to go, then we're failing society. We're failing our kids. Right?
Yeah.
So that was just something I wanted to mention. And we, you know, collectively, for those who follow, you know, we can push these agendas, because I can say right now in this community, there is a shortage of barbers, of licensed barbers.
Yeah.
It really is. And this town is continuing to grow. There are people that need their haircut. You know, we should be coming together as barbers because there's a shortage. I don't know a barber who doesn't have their own lane and doesn't have their clientele. Right. I don't care what level they feel they're at or other people. There are enough heads to be cut. And so, you know, older barbers, and I feel like that was one of the things, you know, even with Rose and Taylor, where, you know, Joe ended up selling because there was really nobody that could take over. You know, so it's hard when you create a legacy and then you have no one to leave it to. So our job as barbers, this is our lane. We have to groom, you know, and so I know we're getting towards the end, but I had one more that kind of piggyback, man, you know, because the communities are important, man. And this is definitely a trade that can feed families. You know what I mean? And this is a way that, you know, we can show them how to get to the back. Everybody doesn't want to be a barber, but I know there's some young guys, you know, between 12 and 25 that would enjoy being barbers and would enjoy what comes with it if you're willing to put the grind in. You know what I mean? And it's like anything else. Your skill builds based on how much work you're willing to put in, right? So just to kind of piggyback off that, just historically with our barbershops in the African-American communities, right? Mm-hmm. It was interesting. I watched a barber friend that hopefully we'll get on sometime here soon. In Atlanta, he actually had a drive or an event for voters registration. Do you think just on a nationwide level, what's occurring? We know in 2016 there was a low outturn or outpour of voting in the African American community, right? Turnout, yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the turnout was I want to say historically low. Yeah. Right.
I mean, I think more people have voted early now in 2020 than people voted totally, and that might be wrong, but yeah, I think Texas is about to break records this year.
But we for sure, we know 100% there was a low turnout in the African American community. Yeah. What's your opinion? You know, and I'll give mine in terms of the barbershops in the urban area, do we or should we have the responsibility to have those type of events and register voters in hopes that, you know, we can get some of our own to the voter booths and our voices to be heard, because we come in contact with all walks of life. And in our community, you know, they depend on us for haircuts, and it's a comfortable space that we can have conversations such as politics, right? You know, do you feel, you know, because I have a feeling as a barber that barbershops have the responsibility to give back in some shape, form, or fashion. Because without us, you know, or without them, excuse me, there's no us. You can't eat as a barber if you don't have clients.
Right.
So, you know, what can we do in our lane to help push our own agenda and our voice to be heard where it matters?
I mean, I just think that you know, you already have the tough conversations in barbershops. It's a space that, you know, we have a lot of pride. You know, we go to the shop and, you know, we may get into a spirited conversation about certain things, and you always gonna have that person that will be that downer that may say, you know, in terms of, you know, being registered, and, you know, you're gonna have that person that their vote doesn't matter, or, you know, the hood ain't gonna change no matter who in office. But I mean, of course. I mean, if barbers and barbershops are willing to take that on, I think you know, you just have to explore the right avenues and channels to, you know, get the people that are running or can do that. I mean, like, we know people in our community that register people, and you know, I mean, are playing a huge role in this election in our community. So, I mean,
and I'm
it's just thinking outside the box. You know?
And I'm asking because it was pretty. I thought it was pretty cool. They had an event from 12 to 3. They offered free shape ups for every client that registered to vote. So they weren't trying to sway the voter one way or the other, but it is in an urban area, right? And so we know that those areas, you know, disenfranchised areas, our voices are not being heard. You know, we're not getting out there and voting the way we should. And I understand a person has a right, and our ancestors fought for the right to have a choice. And so I don't knock anybody, but I think it starts, and I know I'm kind of playing behind the 8 ball, but it just, when I watched it on Instagram, it just gave me an idea of going forward, you know, because that's important. You know, if we're in our communities and, you know, we depend on our communities to take care of us, and they depend on us to take care of them, then I think there's something more that we have to offer as barbers.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great. I think, yeah, I mean, I saw the question, and I mean, it's just doing your part, just knowing that a lot of people come through y'all establishments, and you just never know, like, that person that may not be registered.
Absolutely.
And I think just going back to how we started the show, I can't speak for some of these areas that people are waiting hours upon hours
Right.
to vote.
True story.
Like, I can't imagine having to wait that long
Right.
to vote, to shade in some circles.
Right.
I mean, so I'm not going to sit up here and I was going to say, how hard is it to fill in to shade some circles, you know, but like, it's real out here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, between the stories, I mean, even locally, you heard about, what they doing to our clerk and just trying to, I don't know. I mean, that's just different. But so I mean, if you can use your establishment and your platform, to get people registered,
Right.
I mean, why not?
Right. I mean, because we can't make a push until we collectively start all of us doing our part and coming together. And it was just interesting. I was asking because I have a lot of clients that had the outlook that either my vote doesn't count or, I don't, trust one or the other. I don't trust both. Young people, man, I really don't follow politics. And so that's why I said going into this week, I was kind of walking on eggshells because, the state of our country, man, things are in shambles. And I just feel the racial tension in my lifetime, I've never seen this. Just the tension on an open scale. And so, I can't tell anybody how to vote, but I definitely think anybody who pushes that agenda doesn't need to be a democratic leader of a free world. This is a democracy, you know what I mean? And if, we have to have some say so because on another hand, I believe history repeats itself.
Yeah.
And for us, we damn sure can't afford to go backwards.
Well, I mean, it's got to get worse before it get better. And the reason why I say that is just how it was built.
But I mean, but kidnapping families, separating them, beating them, selling them, how much worse can it get? I'm not sure, and I'm not disagreeing with you. We have our own opinions, but how much worse can it get? I'm starting to feel, in my time working in the school district, one of the things that kind of led me away from it and to follow my passion is because I feel like I have a greater reach when I got a kid in the chair because I can say whatever I feel.
Yeah.
Whatever on my heart, whatever authentic to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just tough. And so when I seen what they were doing at the barbershop, I thought that was cool because there were a lot of people that aren't registered to vote. There are a lot of young kids who, are in this era, they're not even paying attention, man. And so when we're talking about, like I said, I have kids and grandkids. And so, when you think of some of the things that have taken place, and we're not going to get super political, but think just historically how things usually go. People usually don't push Supreme Court justices in seats going into an election.
Yeah, that was right? Gangster, wasn't it?
You know what I'm saying? it was not only gangster, but it was strategic.
Yeah, I give it to him.
And so when you're talking about people at that level, those choices and those decisions,
yeah, man,
those are lifetime seats.
Yeah, man.
That can affect our kids' kids.
Yeah, man.
And when our kids aren't paying attention, when our younger generation, when they're not paying attention and they got closed eyes,
yeah, man.
This can be dangerous, man.
Yeah.
And so, I just thought it was cool and, just kind of thinking, man, what are ways, with our platform that we can help try to move things in a greater, in a greater forward path. For me, I don't knock education. I don't knock any of that. I went back. I got my degree. I'm proud that I have a degree. I learned some things. I persevered. I worked hard, but we have to be in spaces and places and meet these kids and just our community and where they're at, man, to make things better. And it's not the only craft, it's not the only trade, but I know barbering has been great to me and a lot of other people I know, male and female, man. And so just kind of trying to think outside the box. So for those who are listening, man, link up with us. We're behind the 8 ball with those ideas now, but man, we have to think of some ways, to push forward and man, not set back. Cause I feel like, we're in a very grim situation and Tuesday's outcome, it could get more grim.
Yeah. I mean, I'll put it to you like this, man. If the incumbent wins, we ain't gonna be able to tell him shit. I mean, can you just imagine the? I mean, we ain't gonna be. I
can't, bro.
He ain't gonna. He gonna say and do.
He's already doing
whatever
A democracy has turned into a dictatorship, as far as I'm concerned.
Man, look.
Could President Obama do the same things and had remained president?
Did he try? That's my problem.
True story, but we know
we know historically,
but we know historically, and we all have our opinions, but we also know that we start the game with a much shorter leash.
True, but once he got into that second term,
I agree.
He should have turned gangster. He spent all them years on the south side of Chicago.
Show your black tail.
Yes.
I don't disagree.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't disagree.
Man, I'm not trying to hear that, oh, well, he didn't get a chance to nominate his Supreme Court. I ain't trying to hear that. Get it done.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes that's easier said than done.
I understand that.
I mean, he was up, and I have my opinions, but he was up against. I mean, it was tough, right? But man, we just got to come out, man. We got to vote, man.
Yeah,
we got to vote. We have to be more active.
I mean, I will say this. I will say this. I mean, I'll confess. I did not vote for him, but I did not vote straight Democrat.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? It's only one. It's only one person locally that I voted for, not because I really knew a lot, but I like what this person did. And I'll tell you off wax, and you might be like, man, you fucked up. But what I will say is, when we're talking about, are we scared or whatever? Daniel Cameron, the attorney general in Kentucky that chose basically not to move forward with more, rougher, harder charges against the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. Right. What I would tell people, that's an elected position. Attorney general is an elected position. Not
local.
Yeah, not on this ballot, but in 2 years, he will be up for reelection. So that's an elected position. We did
and it affects them locally.
Yeah, as homeowners locally, there's $150 million and counting referendum that myself and you, our property taxes, have gone up as a result of it.
Absolutely.
Well, that is a referendum. That was on a ballot.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying that to say there are other circles besides the president and vice president on that ballot that affects you more than that you need to circle.
Your state and your local election.
Exactly. So,
But I do feel, you know, and we don't want to run over too long, but I do feel, bro, that the temperament of our country, man, we can no longer at the president level continue to go in this direction. That's just my personal opinion. You know, spewing hate and, you know, man, I mean, we you know, it's 2020, almost 2021, man. We should be moving forward. You know, now we got, you know, chests poking out and racial tension, man, at a high. And I think it can get worse. You know, typically our state and local affects us more, you know, than you know, especially immediately than the national election. But I probably think for me that the national election is a little more important right now. For me personally.
Well, it's more important because that's in front of us.
Right.
But the reason why he was able to get things done is because he had, you know, as they say, the Senate, the House, or whatever, whatever. I don't know, but I guess he definitely has the Senate,
right?
You know, and the reason why they pushed to get that lady who, I mean, when I say is gangster, like she has never tried a case.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
She's never tried a case, you know, and I think she's only tried 2 appeals cases, like, so she has no experience on the bench.
Right.
But I knew when Miss Lady passed that they was definitely, you know, gonna do that.
Right.
Because you got my man in South Carolina. He probably might lose. It's about 6 or 7 Republican senators that probably gonna lose on Tuesday. Right. So, but the crazy thing is, I was reading about Mitch McConnell, who's the you know, Trump's like the shit he's saying. He pretty much like a shoe-in to be, you know, to win his seat back. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you know, the people in Kentucky, like, God dang, like, I mean, you know, is it that many white people there that, you know, this dude has been a senator for damn near 30 years and came up?
Just walk back into the seat,
so
unfazed.
Yeah, and I mean, he pretty much was laughing at Shorty, you know, that's running against him.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, register as many people. Like, I mean, just use the resources. I mean, man, instead of putting it on ESPN, man, put that joint on CNN or MSNBC or even Fox, and just be like, look, this is how this is what Ice Cube saying. Tell what album was that? This is what they think about you. Right. So, this is what they think. Put that joint on Fox Sports. On Fox News. And, man, this is what they think about you.
And I think collectively, you know, the barber community, you know, in places such as Champaign and everywhere, man, could, you know, and I can't tell anybody what to offer clients, but just trying to do something to get registered voters in the, you know, in the future and do our part, man, because it's much needed. Because, like I said, I don't know, I'm a little weary, man.
Okay. And I don't want to, and I this is all I'm gonna add on the presidential election. If Trump loses, it is my opinion that the racist spewing of racist remarks, the bigotry, that's not going to lose him the election. What's going to lose him the election is COVID and how he handled COVID or didn't handle COVID.
But I also think in terms of, you know, even with that being said, we got to get out and vote.
Right. And I mean, the numbers the numbers, but the MAGA people, they gonna vote.
Oh, absolutely. So absolutely.
You know, so and another thing I want you to keep your eye on, when the dust settles, I'm paying attention to how many black males voted for Trump because I think, and the good thing about podcasting is on record.
Right.
I think it might be 20%.
It's going to be interesting because anybody could tell us anything when they go behind that booth. Then,
And that's the thing.
Somebody had to vote for him last time.
He got 52% of white women in 2016.
Right. So with that said, we can't tell y'all who to vote for, but go out and vote, man. That's the whole, point of what it is we're talking about, man. This was just an episode for us to just kind of, talk and incorporate barbering in a lot of other areas, but because it all intertwines.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and so honestly, this one was kind of like. There was some parts of it where I'm like, okay, yeah, we nailed it. And then for me, it was like, dang, like I wish I could give more to this or, you know what I'm saying? So that's just how it go. But, just again, I Cut My Way Out podcast. We own everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. We got probably another month before we can submit to iHeartRadio, but that's coming. Hey, listen, we're going to be transparent and even vulnerable. We reaching out to people. We just got to, it's got to be convenient, for everybody. Everybody busy. Right. So we not, but when it happens, we'll have them on and we're just going to keep going. Like I said, we growing. We got our merch. We got our banner. We got better lighting. So we definitely
moving on up.
Yeah, we definitely grinding. Right. So thank you for listening.
But to end it off, just so we talk about the interview. I have confirmed the interview for next week. Stacey Wheeler. She's in Arizona currently. She's an educator, barber, cosmetologist. Our first, and it's kind of big because, ladies first. So this will be our first interview.
It worked out the way it was supposed to.
It'll be our first interview, man. She's dope. And
first guest.
She'll be our first person we're interviewing, and it'll be dope, man. She's excited. We're excited, man. It'll be some great content, man. So for those who are viewing in, supporting us, we greatly appreciate it. Like we said, give us feedback and just support the movement, the journey. Cut My Way Out podcast, and we appreciate you.
Cut My Way Out. That's another one in the books. We're gonna sign off. Peace be unto you. Good luck. I hope the people that you shade in win.
Go vote. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote.
Go vote.
Put some respect on my name.
We out, y'all. Peace.